Storytime with Brax. Once upon a time, I competed in collegiate esports. I grew up playing all sorts of competitive games like Pokemon, Call of Duty, Halo, Overwatch, Rocket League, Hearthstone, and tons more games. And I used those skills that I developed to try to bring home wins for my college team. Not League though, because I only played games that didn't make me hate myself. And Overwatch.
What game is this?
Contrary to popular belief though, competitive game players aren't actually all degenerates. While I might smell bad for being a Honkai Star Rail player, it could be much worse. At least I'll never smell as bad as a Smash tournament. If you're looking for the most rancid experience possible, find a local Smash Melee tournament. And if you're looking for the opposite of that, hold for Lingsha, who might convince you to fix your hygiene if you're not going to do it yourself. In today's video, I'm going to be going over everything there is to know about Lingsha and how to build her. My name is Braxophone, and it's time to stop stalling for ad revenue, so let's just get this thing going. On the last episode of What War Crimes is a Sustained Unit Going to Commit, we had Avengerine, who basically is a shield character that has a gambling addiction so strong that it hurts the people around him. On this next episode, we have this lady with a cute little Pokemon and an insatiable bloodlust. Lingsha is a healer that has a summon much like our general. When you use her technique out of battle, she summons Fuyon, not to be confused with the shortest character in the game, and inflicts a debuff called Befog, which is not to be confused with the Gen 4 move Defog. Her new evolution is Gen 10. Befog increases enemy break damage received by 25%, which is a solid damage increase for break teams. Befog being a debuff makes her extra useful with Acheron and Dr. Ratio as well, and also for any character using the Pioneer set, which could be any one of them. But you don't just get Befog from her technique, you also get it from her ultimate. But before I explain that, I need to explain how her Eevee works. Fuyon is its own character with stats based off of Lingsha's. It has 90 speed, which if you're looking for a comparison, means that for every one attack it gets, you can complete one Sumeru dialogue. When Eevee gets its turn, it dishes out damage to all enemies, plus an extra bit of bonus damage to a random enemy, but with priority to enemies that are weak to fire and don't have their toughness bar depleted. Her AoE coverage makes her exceptionally good in some pure fiction rotations as well. Fuyon also heals your team on action, but most importantly, it also cleanses a debuff off of every ally on your team, making Lingsha an incredibly consistent teammate, unlike everyone I've played with in ranked Valorant. There is one sort of downside though, which is that there's a bit of a summon management with Fuyon. When you summon Fuyon with Lingsha's skill or technique, she has 3 stacks out of 5, and each stack counts as an attack that Fuyon can use before she vanishes into the atmosphere with the rest of the cigarette smoke in Los Angeles. When you use Lingsha's skill, Fuyon gains 3 more stacks, so you don't need to skill every turn, and Lingsha can be pretty SP positive. I didn't even say what her skill does, did I? Lingsha's skill summons Fuyon if you didn't do it with her technique, but you're gonna do it with her technique every single time. Don't ever not do that. It also damages the enemy, and also heals your entire team, and also moves Fuyon's action forward by 20%. Her basic attack is a single target hit, but it also generates the same amount of energy as her skill when you unlock one of her major traces, which means that you can still get her ultimate in a similar amount of time without spamming her skill. Now that I've explained the rest of her kit, let's talk about her ultimate again. It costs 110 energy and does both fire damage and nostril damage. It also applies Befog to enemies for 2 turns, which you want to have up as much as possible. But I know what you're thinking. But Brax, will she also heal with her ultimate? It heals less than her skill, but technically it's actually more than her skill because it moves your deadly beast forward by 100%, so it acts immediately after, which damages the enemy and cleanses and heals your team. With all the and alsos in this character's kit, I feel like they didn't know what to give her, so they just said, what if we just give her everything? It's usually best to save Lingsha's ultimate until after Fu attacks, so that way you can get another attack instantly, because if you ult right before, you're basically losing free damage and heals. Be grateful for what you have. There are free-to-play players starving for damage all over the world. Lingsha also has 2 other major traces that massively impact her value and build. One of them makes it so that Carbuncle instantly launches a talent follow-up attack after an ally drops to 60% HP or lower. Except this talent follow-up attack doesn't actually take a stack to activate. I wonder what characters this could be useful for. Lingsha is not beating the Gallagher 2 allegations. Her last major trace gives her extra healing and attack scaling based on her break effect. Lingsha is not beating the Gallagher 2 allegations. Lingsha is also an attack scaling healer, which means that her general damage is a bit better than other healer options without break, but she's a bit squishier. But she does fit perfectly into break teams, especially with her signature light cone having a ton of break effect on it, being a fire character that fits with the top break DPS, and having tons of break opportunities and AoE attacks. Lingsha is not beating the Gallagher talent priority, focus on her talent and skill, ultimate, and basic attack. Okay, so I was actually dreading making this part of the video because you guys are probably going to walk out more confused than when you came in. If you've played Star Rail at all in like the past year, then you probably have some sort of set with break effect bonus on the 2-piece. Lingsha can use literally any mix of break sets, or if you have a set free, Iron Cavalry can be solid. But you can also give her 2 pieces of speed bonus sets, or 4-piece Passerby of Wandering Clouds, or 2 pieces of Passerby of Wandering Clouds. Dude, there's like a billion sets. I will say though, Passerby can be pretty nice for the extra skill point with 4 pieces, and the healing bonus is also just solid for everything outside of break teams. But double dipping into break effect is going to feel better in break teams if you're not a Leviathan class life form. For planar sets, you can give her something with break effect bonus like Forge of Kalpagni Lantern or Talia for break teams. Or you can give her anything that gives her speed or energy regen, or literally just anything at all. But the entire part right before this where I was like, oh yeah, you can literally play anything on her, is not even the confusing part. Basically for main stats, you want a healing bonus chest, speed boots, attack percent orb, and on the rope you want bear. Essentially, Lingsha has just decided that she's not like the other girls. She wants to hit a specific energy regen stat to get her ultimate up consistently, and depending on her light cone and other characters and energy sources, her build can change. Your goal is to have her at a minimum of 16% energy regen, so most of you can run energy regen rope and be fine. But if you have Locha's signature light cone or post-op conversation with superimposes or any of the other light cones that give some sort of energy regen, you can use an energy regen planar set and sometimes nothing at all. And to opt for break effect or attack percent rope. Attack percent rope can be more damage and heals in non-break teams, and if you're playing her in her best team or in any sort of break team, being able to slap a break effect rope on her will turn her into Ling Shaq. Lingsha is going to the gym, and she can bench you. In summary, use any of this, and any of that. 16% energy regen minimum, and as much speed as you can, but at least 134. And otherwise, focus on break effect and attack percent substats. What do you need a light cone ranking for? This is the healer. Also, hello, this is the part in the video where you subscribe. For every person who subscribes, I'll be one step closer to beating T-Series. We're actually almost there. All women are queens and deserve their signature light cone. Deserve is different from get though, because I've lost a majority of my 75-25s, and I don't think I could get her light cone if I tried. Her signature light cone gives break effect, as well as turns her into a Nihility character, by giving her a damage bonus debuff to apply to enemies. It's actually a crazy light cone for her and Gallagher, but there are lots of other options. For the 4 of you that have Locha's light cone, the speed and energy it gives makes it a top tier choice for Lingsha. Knight of Fright also gives energy regen and an attack percent buff to healed allies, but in my opinion the next best thing is going to be post-op conversation at S5, since it'll give you 16% energy regen and gives you the room and freedom to run a break effect or attack percent rope without overshooting any stats. With at least S3, you can always just opt for an energy regen planar set as well. In break teams, what is real is an incredibly powerful free-to-play craftable light cone that gives break effect to the wearer. Lingsha is not beating the Gallagher 2 allegations. Quid Pro Quo and Shared Feeling are amazing light cones for team-wide energy, and if you're feeling spicy, you can use Multiplication, which will move your action forward by 20% every time you basic attack. Since Lingsha's basic attacks give her a full 30 energy, you're gonna end up using it fairly frequently to gain back skill points. There's tons of other light cones you can use, but the ones I listed are gonna be the most generally helpful, and I don't have a light cone ranking for you because what do you need that for? Go outside. Hello, this is the part in the video where you subscribe. Wait, did I already do this bit? I already made a whole video on Lingsha and her teams, and if you want to see it, you can check it out here. Her best team is a Firefly team with Lingsha, Harmony MC, and Ruan Mei, which allows you to do the same thing you always have, but this time with a hot woman healer. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this team is fire. Outside of Firefly teams though, you have a lot of different options, just because healers are necessary to complete the game. Boothill can use Lingsha for the break effect damage up on some enemies, and with him you can play Ruan Mei and Harmony MC, or you can go with someone like Bronya instead of HMC. I wouldn't skip out on Ruan Mei here if you can avoid it, just because her weakness break efficiency multiplies with Boothill's toughness reduction, but it's doable either way. Speaking of doable, do you guys think that Boothill is... Lingsha also fits well in follow-up attack teams. Basically anything that benefits from characters that have frequent turns gets a lot of value. Fei Xiao benefits from teammates attacking and using follow-ups, and Topaz is the go-to follow-up sub-DPS, with her own personal damage being great, and also her debuff she applies to make follow-ups stronger. With Robin thrown in, the team is actually pretty solid. I prefer Aventurine here meta-wise, but with Lingsha on this team, you'll finally have meta girl. Lingsha also works in Pure Fiction super well, especially if the enemy is fire weak, which can either be in Firefly teams like I showed earlier, or with Jade. Jade can partner Herta to get tons of follow-up attacks and let Herta carry the team, and Ruan Mei or Robin tie the team all together. Lingsha's damage isn't actually super negligible in Pure Fiction, and if it's break, it's actually really good. Like our very, very tired friend here. Lingsha can work well in an Acheron team due to the debuff she applies with her ultimate, and also her signature light cone, for those of you who aren't starving college students. Other than that, she can kind of just fit into any team as your standard SP positive healer, and unlike her pet, she's pretty solid. Get it? Because her pet is a gas. Dude, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I just woke up in my hotel in Shibuya, and I've kind of just been sitting here for the last hour dissociating. I guess let's talk about Eidolons next. Getting the 8th gym badge in the original Gen 2 games requires you to go to the Dragon's Den and speak with some different NPCs to complete some of their challenges. In the Gen 4 remakes of Gen 2 games though, when you go to the Dragon's Den, you'll find Bailu. This is no different from your gacha pulls. There are no more F-tier jokes in this video. You're welcome. Anyways, E1 is a support Eidolon that increases Lingsha's break efficiency by 50%, which is crazy for her break teams, since super break damage is based on how much toughness you reduce. It also lowers enemy defense by 20% when their weakness is broken. It's pretty solid all around. E2 though increases your whole team's break effect by 40% after using her ultimate for 3 turns, which essentially would make her a full-on Harmony character. E3 is an ultimate and talent level up, which is nice for your damage output and heals, and E4 is a bonus heal for allies that are the lowest HP. Now, I'm not saying it's useless, but if any of your characters aren't full HP after Fuyon takes action, you gotta look at your builds, dude. E5 is a skill and basic attack level up, and E6 is...
Hey, where'd you get that?
Whenever Fuyon is summoned, enemies have the resistances reduced by 20%, and when Fuyon attacks, it does 4 extra instances of fire damage and toughness reduction. It prioritizes enemies that have higher than 0 toughness and are fire weak. Against bosses, this is an extra 30 toughness reduction due to the extra weakness break efficiency, and it's a pretty significant jump in damage as well, especially with the Res Shred. Now, between her Light Cone and E1, I'd personally pick up her E1, since her Light Cone is amazing, but Lingsha has a lot of free-to-play accessible options, and E1 is going to increase your whole team's damage with that defense shred. With that said though, you're losing your 50-50 to Bailu anyways, so you're cooked either way.